Hello and welcome to DC on the Wire. This is a new installment to be featured on Honolulu Civil Beat. The reason we're doing this is we're taking advantage of the fact that Michael Levine is our Washington, D.C. bureau chief. We're the only local media that has a full-time reporter in D.C., and we want to hear what he says. Thanks to technology, we're able to Skype in and talk to him live.
Aloha, Chad. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, man, is that your apartment? Pretty cool.
No, I wish. This is the Senate Press Gallery. I'm on the third floor of the U.S. Capitol here, and it would be a whole lot busier if Congress was in session. There'd be reporters milling about, and you'd probably be able to barely hear me. But because everyone's out of town this week, it's pretty quiet in here. Me and a couple lonely souls behind me.
Hey, I got to ask you, you said it's recess time. Everybody's out running for re-election, but I'm guessing the buzz in the town has to do with the presidential election, especially that debate last week between Romney and Obama. What are you hearing in town, especially from our folks in Hawaii on the ground?
The buzz is all about the debate last week and how that's a game changer, and we saw polls and all the different stuff. It's all reaction to that. You asked about our delegation. We saw Senator Inouye respond pretty quickly after the debate. He thought that it was definitive proof that Obama was the right guy for the job. We saw Governor Lingle put out a statement pretty quickly after that the debate was proof that Governor Romney was the right guy for the job.
Hey, I got to ask you about a story that you wrote last week that's still getting a lot of talk here in town. Representative Charles DeJew, the former representative, running for Congress again against Colleen Hanabusa. You know, he's got 3 young kids. Colleen Hanabusa does not have any kids. Same with a lot of the other folks from Hawaii, Linda Lingle, Mazie Hirono, Tulsi Gabbard. None of them have children. And the story that you wrote said basically, Charles DeJew says, you know, it's kind of important to have kids because I understand family issues and so forth. But another way of looking at it was he's playing the dad card. Did you hear any feedback from folks, particularly DeJew's opponents and Democrats, about that? Were they upset at all?
In that story, we had a statement from Hanabusa spokesman Richard Raposa. He said that it was sexist. That was a pretty strong denunciation of the comment. And I spoke to other people who are admittedly they have a perspective there in the kind of women's equality movement, right? Or the idea that children are not necessary to have a successful career or a successful life. So their perspective was that this was a bizarre thing to say, that being a parent somehow qualifies you in a unique way. I think that it gives perspective. I think everyone would acknowledge everyone has a different perspective, but what I heard from a number of different people, both in politics and outside of it, was that the job of a representative is to represent people who are different than you, and that means understanding issues that you don't personally have a stake in. I'm not sure if people tune into the comments below the stories, but there was a couple of funny ones. Someone said that Richard Nixon had kids. The implication being, well, he wasn't very good, so that's like the dirtiest thing you can do to current politicians. Compare that to Richard Nixon, I guess.
I think somebody once said, Richard Nixon, he never cheated on his wife, but he wasn't as great as JFK, who did. So anyway, hey, speaking of Mazie Hirono and Linda Lingle, I saw the debate last night on KHON, AARP Hawaii, and this is the first televised debate between these women, and it was pretty heated. They really kind of got into it, and I'd have to give Linda Lingle points. I think she was very in control. And I'm wondering, did you hear anything about it 5,000 miles away about that debate, even though it's just last night here?
The thing that I heard here today, and I shared it with you earlier today, was from Roll Call. There was a brief item on their website that basically they focused on one barb that Linda Lingle had delivered during the debate, where she had brought up the fact that Mazie Hirono supported John Edwards and asked her, in light of the way that he treated his wife, did she have any regrets, considering she's such an advocate for women's issues and brings them up so regularly on the campaign trail? And I think that caught people by surprise here.
Hey, speaking of Hirono and Lingle, we have our own debate next week, Tuesday, I think, on KITV, and Civil Beat is joining in with some questions. Can you give me one question that you would put
to Hirono and Lingle, something that maybe they haven't been asked so far?
I think the most important thing, the thing that I want to know from both candidates, is how they're going to be different from the party line, how they're going to be independent, be moderate. It's a major plank of Governor Lingle's campaign is that she's not just a down the line Republican. So I would ask each of them. I would ask Representative Hirono. I would say, how do you differ from President Obama? Right? What are the positions that he's taken? What are the actions he's made in the first 4 years that you would disagree with, that you think he was wrong on? And I want to see her, explain how she's independent major criticism of her is that she's been one of the most liberal members of Congress. And on the other side, I would say Governor Lingle. You say you're a moderate, you say you're independent. Tell me a position of Governor Romney's that you disagree with, that you think he's wrong, and show us why going to the Senate is more than just being one of 51 Democrats or 49 Republicans or whatever it might be, or swinging in the majority one way or the other, which I think most people here, that's the only thing they care about is how many on each side. But I think that for the voters in Hawaii, they want to know, how are you going to represent us and how are you going to be different than the national parties?